Hi, everybody. I am so honored to be a part of this discussion and a part of this program celebrating the music from various cultures in the world. I guess we should talk. We're friends. And we. I guess we started talking about this. It was even before the pandemic. We were
Right.
always just people who are. We realized New York City is such a city filled with many cultures. Um, Everybody is from everywhere and comes here, and in a way, it kind of makes the preservation of culture even more prescient. Everyone is away from home, and we come to this place that is, New York City, this big apple with, and and we all find each other. There are these little mini cultural communities of people through music and all of the arts, and um, and each time we come into people, run into people, and have these discussions, it's always about finding out ways that we can honor our home and honor where we come from, and to take that culture, bring it forward here in New York City, and with us both, you know, being parents now, it's even more important to recognize the responsibility as culture bearers of um, the worlds that we come from. And so that's kind of what really sparked um, this idea that we should sing songs together, folk songs from each of our regions from home. The other thing that we realized that was, the similar, we have lots of differences, but we also have a lot of similarities. Considering Claudia is from Chile, she's from the mountains. I'm from Kentucky, way up in the mountains. I'm sure not as high altitude as the mountains as the Andes.
Right.
But there is something to be said for the sound of the way that we hear music and the way that we sing and the strength behind it, which has a lot to do with the altitude and the sound of what goes on when you're high in altitude and near, you know, I guess closer to the gods, as you
Yeah,
say.
but also I think, as we have talked so many times, is the line, is a connection in the Americas that is undeniable. And as we explored in stories and the connection through the mountains, as you said, it's also so much in it with all the people that migrate and move and the indigenous people and how we all connected through those songs. They're almost like chanting and calling, you know.
Or what we call back home as vocables, and um, and I teach kids. When I teach the kids, I talk about vocables, and vocables happen all over the world. And it was a way for many different tribes of people to come together and pray and sing in ceremonies without having to learn to speak each other's languages or dialects fluently. So it was a great way to kind of bring people together in melody and sound in honor of praying for whatever um, needed those spirits to come together, whether it was, praying for rain, or praying for, um, for heat, or for warmth, or for a death, or for a birth, but these kinds of things. And that was the way that, I guess, these kind of chants and things brought indigenous peoples together. And then when you think about, I guess, the migration of people who come from other places, they're bringing their culture as
Right.
well. And then when it comes to the new place, something in the land changes that.
And also, that's the beauty of New York, as you said early. We have come, and we all come from different places, and all places in the world. New York becomes that real mecca in a way where, regardless of where you come from, we become this children's or people from the world, because it's
That's right.
undeniable how we honor our roots, but also how others
A global,
inspire us or influence.
a global community,
Absolutely.
a global community. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. What else can we talk about? Why don't you speak a little bit about what caused you to start realizing how important it was for us to come together in this way as well?
Well, first of all, it has been said before, we're friends, and for me to have a friend like you, that we also share this passion and this call that we have dedicated our life to bring our root and discover and develop our music and the way we see or hear things, and that collaboration is very unique. And then we both are mothers of boys, we both are mixed childs, indigenous and whatever other roots are in us, and for that matter our children's too. But it's a very unique and beautiful, unique way that we both are in New York from different places, and we both singers and composers and educators and women,
in this business.
And I think it's just very fun for me to have this conversation from that perspective. It's a conversation, and we kind of like doing exactly what we do sometimes, just to hang out
without cameras on.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then through that, we realized one day, like, wow, we should do this project. Is almost like from the north of the America, because like I've always said, the Americas is a huge continent. From the north of the Americas, we met each other from the south to the north, and we meeting and blending all this knowledge and songs and melodies, and collecting all the stories and roots, and making the connection and learning from each other. To me, has been really rich, and many things are very understood already about what we trying to do.
That makes it easy.
Yes.
That makes it easy, and it makes it a lot of fun and interesting as well, because with me, with my roots being from Kentucky, which is like the land of kind of like folk and country music and mountain hollers, and and the blues from the Black migration, into the coal mines, like where my grandpa came from. And that sound mixed with, me being a teenager here in New York City, and which was also the beginning of hip hop, and not trying to give away my age, but hip hop was alive, alive and well. That came out when I was a teenager, and it was life changing for every person of color who was part. It was almost like this youth movement, and it touched every single life. It was in the ground. You heard it. It was in the subways and in your bones, and you could not feel that. And that sound and those rhythms could not escape any music that came to New York City from any group that came. You would still, for me, it would still be that foundation, which took it back for me to like the blues, and
I'm
then
so interested, because we have talked about the similarities, but there is a huge difference, for example.
That's
because
right.
you have all that freedom in the sense of being in the city as a teenager, and I pretty much was born and raised in a dictatorship where many things were restricted, where we could not hear certain music. Some of the songs that we have sing together that I share with you were actually not even allowed, and then through other ways discover all those rhythms and move here and meet and become friends with you and have all that knowledge about that time and the connections.
Yeah.
It's just really amazing to me.
And speaking of, you growing up in a dictatorship, and the restrictions and restrictions on creativity and
Absolutely.
on art and even speaking,
Everything.
this could be a good segue for a song.
Oh,
because
yeah. Well,
part of being here is to celebrate
yes.
that freedom and to have
Right.
to continue the fight
Mhm.
to for the right
To create.
to create.
To the right to live in peace. One thing that I've always promised me, or a pact that I made when I moved here, is that I fell in love with jazz because of the freedom. In jazz, I've found and met many musicians and artists that been inspired me, like this lady right here, and dear friend of mine. And this song, I've always honored where I come from, and this song is written by Victor Jara, and this is pretty much the way I learned this song. How we secretly I was able to learn the song when I was maybe 12 years old.
And we should say, please feel free to just post questions as you know, if you're thinking about it, or comments as well. We
Yes.
welcome this to be a broader conversation as well.
So this is El Derecho de Vivir en Paz.
And
by
what is
Victor
that thing
Jara.
that you're using?
This is a bombo legüero. It's one of the instruments that is used a lot in the folklore or traditional music in South America. Used in Chile. No, it's okay. In Chile, in Argentina, in Peru, you know, and it has the similarity, a lot of the natives, you know, shape and sound in a way. So anyway. El derecho de vivir, poeta chilín que golpea de Vietnam a toda la humanidad. Ningún cañón borrará el surco de tu arroza, el derecho de vivir en paz. Our right to live in peace. El derecho de vivir en paz.
Our right to live in peace.
El derecho de vivir en paz.
Our right to live in peace.
El derecho de vivir en paz. We only sing one verse because it's a little long, but that's a very dear song to me and to many.
Thank you, Phil. Phil writes, we're loving the conversation so far. So nice to see friends talking together. And we talk all the time.
All the time.
All day, every day.
About many things.
About many things. You know, what I really am enjoying about this particular conversation is that, you know, oftentimes, you know, it's such an interesting thing, like when you look at the music business, women in music, it's so interesting when there's men in music, they always talk about this brotherhood and that all the guys are all together and this kind of thing. But when it comes to women in music, especially vocalists, they always say there's a big competitive thing and all of that. And it's not true, because I cannot tell you how many times we have all of our female, vocalists, friends, all sit together, we all cook, we all work together, we all, cried together, we all laugh together. We all share business information with each other. We all recommend each other for jobs and for sessions, and
we encourage each other.
And we encourage each other. So it's an interesting thing when I hear those type of things, when people say that everyone is so competitive or this, and it's not always the case. And oftentimes when I do hear people say things like that, it often makes me feel like, again, it's just more of a stereotype of women in general, and a kind of sexism, of just straight up sexism, because it couldn't be further from the truth. When we're looking at the unique kind of journeys that Claudia and myself are on, especially when it comes to cultural preservation, and of music and storytelling, and working with children, having a band, being on the road with shows, and like we say, the storytelling, the things with language and folk, and how we hear melodies, and how we preserve them, and how we share them with the world. That's something that I think is greater than I guess chasing these kind of things that people say, like chasing gigs or that kind of thing, because it goes much deeper than just the one show. This is something that we're kind of, from my personal experience, I feel like I'm following this journey, and it's almost like I feel like it's my responsibility, to follow this journey of music and cultural preservation through music, and using my voice to tell stories, and to help other people tell their stories as well. And each time that something like that happens, I feel like I'm almost just reinforcing the importance of my responsibility to hand that forward.
Yeah, and I think, at least to me, I think it has helped a lot to become a mother, because I've gotten involved. I didn't go to school here or things like that, and you become more part of a community and more children's, and you realize, or at least I have realized, that commitment becomes more clear, more solid, as to the direction of preserve and acknowledge and find this freedom, this unapologetic freedom to be who we are in this business, as women, as musicians, and everything else, along other women that we respect, that the group of people that we meet, and similar aspirations and dreams, commitment to move forward. And if 20 years it was this group of women, we dream that this keep getting bigger and bigger, that it's more faces in different places,
Right. I also feel like
there's a question.
Oh, yeah.
Anonymous attendant.
Okay. How do you balance wanting to preserve your traditions with also wanting to move those traditions forward to keep them relevant to another generation? That's a really great question. And also I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, I'm thinking that time only moves forward, right? So no matter what we're doing, the work that we're doing is making sure that we are not participants in the erasure of our own people. We're living in a world, And this has been happening for a very long time because, Claudia, as you said, you grew up in a dictatorship. So you grew up, you were born into a world that did not allow people to speak or to express. There was no freedom of expression, or at a price. And we know those stories, you know. And so when I think about where we are today, here in the United States, and what we have faced, you know, what I have faced as a Black person, you know, I've faced being born into, you know, a power, you know, a kind of governing power, no matter how it changes, but who have spent centuries defining and redefining with labels and erasing my ancestors and the genocide on paper, and reclassifying according to social constructs that serve a particular purpose for certain groups of people in order to maintain oppression. And so when you're coming from that, and I've faced that since my great grandparents, and here we are today in 2025, still trying to push back against this constant oppression and constant threat of more erasure, to the point where even, you know, we're all doing it to each other. People of color are pushing back against other people of color. What do they call that? It's lateral violence is happening. And so when we're dealing with that, these type of mindsets that are consistently trying to push back on our erasure, you know, on erasing our culture, trying to silence our voices, silence our creative expression, whether it's any form of the arts, it is our responsibility to continue trying to make the work that we do carry forward. You know, I don't know if that's it helps. What do you think?
I mean, you said so many things right on the money, like they said, but I guess the only thing that I could add is to keep our ancestors and our curiosity, to keep rediscovering things that were maybe, in my case, for example, the way I grew up, many things were not allowed to be spoken or shared. And as I'm getting mature, as we're gonna
like
mature,
fine wine,
it's so strong, but at the same time, it's not like force. There's so many things as I keep acknowledging this and celebrating this, it is more and more memories and things that come, for example, to me, and I meet other people, and with that, it's like a flower that it keeps blooming instead of going the other way.
Yeah, that's great. You know, oh, okay, here's another question. Halito Evadne! That's a dear friend up in Maine, I believe. What was the first traditional or indigenous song or story you learned as a child, and the first you told or sang to your own children? Ooh, I know mine would be The Little Bear. It's a lullaby. Little bear, go to sleep, little bear. Stay on, stay on, Osterklegi, Osterklegi, stay on, Osterklegi, Osterklegi, Giacchilata, Giacchilata, Osterklegi, Osterklegi, Giacchilata, Giacchilata, Osterklegi. So something like that. And I'm probably my language is not good at all, but that's the way I always learned it. So, and it's just like a lullaby,
Yeah.
you know.
For me, I mean, the first thing that I teach my kid when he was little is to say in Quechua, which is one of the native language in South America, and also Mapuche, Mapudong from the south of Chile, and it's nanay nanay, nanay nanay, nanay nanay, nanay nanay. Nanay, 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 nanay. Because nanay, nanay means like, oh, nanay, nanay, like I want to be cuddled, like, you know. And then there's a poem of Gabriela Mistral that, dame la mano y danzaremos, dame la mano y me amarás, con una sola flor seremos. Da 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 dee da 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 da, something like that. And the first song that I learned traditional is, and maybe this would be a good time to sing this too. A song written by Violeta Parra, which is called Gracias a la Vida, which I also teach my kid because I realized, and we did a little translation too. Gracias a la vida que me ha dado tanto, me dio dos luceros que cuando los abro, perfecto distingo lo negro del blanco, y en el alto cielo su fondo estrellado, y en las multitudes el hombre que yo amo. Gracias a la vida. Thanks to life for my eyes so I can see.
Thanks to life for my eyes so I can see.
Thanks to life for my voice so I can sing.
Thanks to life for my voice so I can sing.
Thanks to life for my brain so I can think.
Thanks to life for my brain so I can think.
Gracias a la vida.
Lovely. You know, I was just thinking about when we were talking about the importance of telling these stories so that we're not erased, and which reminds me of the song that I teach to children now about American Indian removal and the Trail of Tears. And because there's a huge part of that, you know, being from Southeastern and mixed, you know, where I am, Cherokee and Choctaw and African American, and English as well. And when you have all of the things that happen post removal, post this trail, what we call the Trail of Tears. And for those of you who are not familiar with what the Trail of Tears is, it sounds like it's a very romantic title for a very, very brutal part of American history, where our Southeastern tribes were forced to leave our homelands and to walk 900 miles to live in a place we had never seen before. So, and there was chaos, a lot of chaos. There was a lot of illness, and the tears comes from not being allowed to bury our dead when people got hypothermia and TB and all of these things, tuberculosis and all other kinds of flu, because during the removal periods that happened, um, our ancestors were forced to leave in winter. So they do say that there were over 16,000 Cherokees that died, but I believe that there were a lot more, just because of the numbers, and how many people how few there are today, and how many we had to build back up, after all of those deaths that happened along the way. And so I sing a song about it for kids, and it's called 40 Wheels, and it's about walking, and just to give the children an idea of what it might feel like to walk a long, long time. And when you sing it to little kids, little kids are like, I'm tired. And so it really gives them a good sense of just a little hint on a very gentle way to tell a very dark story. So I'll just go right to our verses,
Okay.
So 40 wheels up high on the mountainside, covered wagons coming and my people riding, walking, yeah, walking. It was way up high, my great mama cried, when the cavalry took 1,000 lives, walking, 900 miles, walking, 900 miles, walking, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead. 40 wheels up high on a mountainside, was the coal trucks loading up 1,000 miners, walking and walking and walking and walking, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead, way ahead. I love that song. That was a truncated version, but in the interest of time, just to give you a little taste of it. And we've recorded that song, and a bunch of other songs this year that we are going to put out later on. So if you just watch for our websites, you can sign up on our mailing list or follow us in social media, and we'll keep you posted when that comes out. But it's a really beautiful song and powerful song, and the pushback against erasure, to remember these stories. What else could we do? I know there was something else I wanted to cover. Oh yeah, I don't know if we have enough time. It's 6:40, but we were talking about being women in music, and also mothers in music, but it's also really women in music, because I waited a very long time before I had children, before I had our son. So for me, I always felt that these were music babies that were very important to me. For me, becoming a mother made it even more prescient, gave me a sense of serious urgency, how important it was to pass something on to new generations, you know what I mean, to the younger generations. But before then, I always felt that. I always felt the need to, I always felt this calling that I had to share this music in this way. I had to embrace American roots music, and I had to redefine what this music meant, because the way that the politics of this country is, everything is always kind of steeped in racism, steeped in segregation and separation of people rather than bringing together. And no matter how much we as human beings, which we are first and foremost, we all are naturally come together, and then it's the politics and things that start ripping people apart and separating us against each other. But I believe as human beings, I believe that, we have the ability, that I feel that we have the ability, because we have a certain type of intellect that is supposed to prevent us from being so primal and territorial, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean,
We should be able to embrace our differences in a good way, and also, even if we disagree on something, we can also agree to disagree. There's a certain level of where we use language and music to make these communications and make these distinctions. And I think that there's a certain amount of bravery that comes along with it as well,
Yeah, I mean, it's something that has been done over and over through history. If we look at it from different parts of the world, the role of music and musicians, and in this case, as women, we are part of this, trying to have a voice, trying to claim our voices, or reclaim our power, acknowledging not only our roots, but at the same time, what you were saying early, is inevitable to move forward.
Right.
Because there's no other way.
That's right. Exactly.
We can't go back.
Right.
So,
but but we're also putting ourselves at risk.
We do, but also it's the courage of it. It is a call, and you can do anything. Like, also for me, like, I'm an immigrant. I'm not first generation born here, and not that we all immigrants, if you know what I mean. But I'm kind of
some.
Well, but in the same, we all have been moving around. Yes. None of us are 100% pure from somewhere,
yes, That's right.
And for me, have moved here and find this level of freedom in this music, and with that, meeting other women, they're in search,
and it takes courage,
and the courage to trying to find that voice, but you did also live in another country for 7 or 8 years.
Yes, so I lived in England, so we did. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
And you know what I'm talking about. It's already that bravery of leaving your place that and everything, to move somewhere else, and
the courage to bring to not leave your culture behind. You're taking it with you, and that bravery. Oh yeah, yes,
food
absolutely.
Is a very important thing in my life.
A huge thing. And when we talk about having the courage to do whatever we can for music, and for moving to different countries, bringing our culture with us, speaking out, using storytelling, songs of injustice, and preserving peace, and it takes a lot of cojones. And speaking of huevos, it's time to cook. We were trying to figure out a way to segue into the recipe, so thank you for bringing that. Yes, in the interest of time, one of the simple dishes that I grew up with, that my grandmother made, was, we called it wild onions and eggs. And so I came here, when I came over to Claudia's, I stopped at the shop, and we would basically have these, right? It's what we call scallions, or we call them wild onions. And it was because we would grow them, so it's very different from going to the supermarket, because you would just go out and up on the hill where things were, and you would grab chives and grab onions like this, and then you would just cut them up in the pan and like steam them in some water, and then once all the water's reduced and they're nice and soft, you can cut them up, and then you just crack the eggs. and you stir them in there in the pan and make scrambled eggs. It's basically like an omelet, but you don't flip it or anything. You just stir it to where it's scrambled, and then it's completely chopped up, you know. And what I like to do is like, you know, my grandma used to always have the onions, and she would also have the wild parsley as well. So anything green, you know, that would come up, and you would cut that in there, so there'd be like a little fragrant thing. So
I'm
here
getting hungry.
here I know, right here in New York City, we would use you know, like cilantro, right? Cilantro, the scallions, and like some parsley as well. And you just mix it all up in the eggs and put salt and pepper to taste. And you can have a healthier version when you have just a tiny bit of a little bit of oil in it in the pan when you do that. So we don't have time to do it today, but if we did, we would have to start out cooking.
And my recipe is a little more involved, but I hope you guys.
But Claudia's not telling you this, but
yeah.
it smells wonderful in here because she has bread in the oven. So
I love cooking. It's one of my things that I just love it, and I choose this dish, which also even Pablo Neruda, an amazing, well-known poet from Chile, he wrote an oda to the caldillo de congrio. So I hope it's a great dish for a cold date, and you can use cod fish.
cod.
Yeah,
Cod.
yeah.
Bacalao.
Yeah, you can use that to do it if you don't have congrio.
Yeah. Let's see. We have time for another discussion. We're trying to stay on time so that we don't run over, but we can talk about things forever and ever and ever. Let's see. So what else can we share with them? Should we sing the women's honor song? Well, it's not. It's the people's honor song, because we talk about Mother Earth, but we also it's an honor song.
Yeah,
So we'll do that. We'd like to share that with you guys. Yeah. And we're using, and I'm using because I'm using like a little shaker, because the deer horn rattle that I normally do is so loud that it's unfair to have on the Zoom. So, and I think it would just be not good. So we're just using the soft huevos. Okay, here we go. Ready? Oh, hey, hey, oh, keepers of stories, honor our fathers, our brothers, our sons, honor this land we stand upon, honor the earth is our mother, honor this land we stand upon. Whoa, That's good.
That's a good way to start the week.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you. We want to thank everybody for tuning in, and I'm so thrilled to have this time with Claudia and talking about sisterhood and all the things that we do as vocalists in the music business, and
our intention.
Our intention, exactly.
Our intention,
exactly.
Our commitment, our vision.
That's right. I'm really excited for our duo project in the spring. So make sure you watch out for it. Yes.